Hello.
Hello, Rod. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I apologize for my location. We're sort of in the middle of renovating this house and trying to. I'm in a basement surrounded by packing boxes, so we're moving out for a bit while we renovate this house. But yeah, so apologies for the odd setting.
Well, I actually thought maybe you'd been called back onto Taskmaster and Greg Davis had set you up with another task.
It has got a slightly taskmaster look about it. Yeah, no.
Obviously, we're here to talk about your brand new show. Now, have I got the correct title? Rhod Gilbert's Giant Grapefruit, or Rhod Gilbert and the Giant Grapefruit?
Rhod Gilbert and the Giant Grapefruit. Yeah, it's a sort of spin on James and the Giant Peach, the old Roald
Yeah.
Dahl novel. So yeah, it's Rhod Gilbert and the Giant Grapefruit. The grapefruit is a nod to the tumor that was the cancer in my neck. And there's more to it than that, but you'd have to come and see the show.
You've been through a bit of a rough period over the last couple of years, health-wise. Has your work in comedy helped given you strength to sort of deal with things, your humor, your approach to life and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think absolutely. Yeah, and having the space to talk about it, having the platform to talk about it, to be able to, I think we struggle to talk about cancer a lot of the time. And I'm out there every night talking about it, which helps process it and deal with it. And I'm getting other people to open up and talk about their family stuff or their cancer. People shouting at me from the stage, telling me their stories. It's quite a cathartic experience. So I feel like I'm very lucky myself. I've got all these places I can talk about it and raise awareness of things and try and help other people. But I also feel like I'm providing a bit of a service to other people to be able to talk about it. So it's really nice actually. It's really kind of heartwarming, fun, funny, and hopefully helpful to people.
Is there anything you can share of your experience that maybe sort of would encourage people? Like a light-hearted moment or whatever.
I mean, that's what the show is. The show is me
Yeah,
charting my story from the moment of diagnosis uh to sort of now really
yeah.
to getting an all clear. So many moments. I don't want to give anything away from the
No.
from the show, but some of them are pure bodily function awfulness, but a human body goes wrong. Some of them are pretty graphic. It's pretty dark. And some of them just silly little things and joyful things, the things I've learned along the way and the people I've met. And I ultimately this is a stand-up comedy, laugh out loud, hopeful. It's got to be the way I see it is it's got to be as funny as anything I've ever done in the past. And um but it's a big subject. There's no doubt it's a big subject, but I've had every age group I can think of in these shows so far, and the reaction has been better than the reaction I've ever had to anything I've done. So I'm loving it.
Wonderful. And how have you adapted because in the last decade or so? Because I remember coming to see you at Newport's Riverfront Theatre. I think it was probably about 10 or 11 years ago now. And I think it was What's Eating Gilbert's Grape at the time. And I actually, and I loved that show. It was a fantastic show, despite the fact you picked on me that night, because I was in the audience. And unbeknown to you at the time, I was actually reviewing the show, and I daredn't reveal that, because I remember you mentioning about coming from Llanbobl, and I know for a fact because my in-laws, I believe, knew your parents because I believe you're a Carmarthen boy originally, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you saying at the time, does anybody believe Llanbobl exists? And I put my hand up and said no, and then you didn't let it go for the rest of the evening then.
Did
But
I
it was
not?
a
Quite right.
wonderful show. But I mean, obviously you've grown as a stand-up comedian from playing the smaller venues into the bigger venues. How's that been for you as a
I'm
transition?
going to shock you now. I'm going to make you feel old now. Who's Eating Gilbert's Grape
Yeah.
was 2007.
Oh my goodness.
That is 17 years ago, mate, not
Oh
10
my
or 11
dear.
years. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, great venue, Newport Waterfront. Yeah, it's my stuff has evolved. I think I've changed over the years. My stuff has changed several times. I used to start it out very quiet and deadpan and surreal. Then I got very angry and ranty and so
Yeah.
and now but it was always about quite trivial things or made up things, or tog ratings or luggage or Llanbobl and now now I'm talking about cancer, or in the last show I was talking about infertility, Alzheimer's, having a stroke. So I've evolved into talking about my real life, real serious, big, dark, heavy stuff. But
Yeah,
hopefully the laughs are still there. The intention to make people laugh has never changed.
yeah,
So yeah, and the venues have increased over the years. They've definitely got bigger. I mean, at the moment, I'm doing some really massive ones. Cardiff Arena, for example, 5,000
yeah.
seats every night or whatever. But then equally, I've been doing some smaller ones. I've been going to Narberth Queen's Hall, and
Wow.
and I've done a little one in Neath, and I've done a 250 seats in Cardigan in the Moyldan, lovely little theatre there. So
Yeah,
I'm sort of doing. I'm enjoying going into the corners, into the cracks a little bit that people don't often go. So this tour, I'm doing everything from 200 to sort of 5,000 really, and everything in between. And there's not a lot of difference, to be honest with you. Once you're in there and you can see the whites of the audience's eyes, I don't find those. I only do venues of a size that I feel I can really work it and really communicate
yeah,
and really connect with an audience. So I don't go any bigger than 5,000.
yeah,
But I feel if whether it's 250 people or 2,000 people or whatever, I try and do the show the same way. It's conversational. It's always trying to really connect with people. And so I don't feel any different. And it's, in terms of doing the bigger venues versus the old smaller venues, it doesn't feel any different. A gig's a gig.